This is a Tape Deck podcast.
Three, two, one. Hello and welcome back to Will Run For. This is your host, Tom. Happy New Year, and with me as always are Erin.
So aggressive.
Michael.
Oh, you're very excited for the news we have this episode.
And Diana.
Hey, it's been a long time since we've recorded. This was kind of a mess.
Oh, yeah. It's over a month at this point, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like we had said we were going to come back from Disneyland and record like that for that week, and we didn't.
No.
I mean, it's soon after, but,
Yeah.
you know,
It's pretty quick. Yeah.
it makes it feel even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost February, so again, Happy New Year, everyone.
Is it? Holy crap.
Well,
It
I
is.
mean, we're
It's
at
January
least a third. We're
21st. Wow.
a third of the way through
It's fine.
True.
this month.
It's fine.
By the time they hear this, though, because this isn't.
No, I'll get it out tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yay.
What else are we doing?
I don't know. That's right. That's true. So I guess the house cleaning is you're going to hear this tomorrow. Yay.
Hi.
We did not release On the Grounds. Each of us failed at taking 2 Metch recordings at Marathon and Disneyland weekends. Being present in the moment. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So we went out for some feedback. We got a little bit, but not a ton. So we just
We'll
decided
sprinkle it into the
that we're just going to sprinkle it into this episode and do 2-part Walt Disney World Marathon weekend recap today when you're listening now. And then next week, you'll hear about Disneyland.
Yeah.
I got some thoughts.
Everybody,
I'm excited to hear
I'm
about
stoked to hear about
these
Disneyland,
thoughts
actually.
because
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of mixed
Mixed things.
everyone has a lot of thoughts, and everyone with thoughts have never done a Disneyland race. There was almost nothing different than the way it used to be. So
And
It's been quite a while, right?
you noobs.
So that's what I was curious about. And I've been waiting to hear from someone who's done Disneyland before.
Yeah,
And then
I've
talked to
thoughts,
some
but-
people who have done Disneyland before, but weren't there this year. And they were saying it sounds like it was exactly like it always was.
Yes.
But since they weren't there, they couldn't judge.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of curious how it all played out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well-
stay tuned next week for that. Yeah.
I do have a couple of hot takes.
It's a nail biter.
Everyone's got hot takes.
It's like a cliffhanger episode.
I was sort of hoping that we'd get more feedback just so that I could hear everyone's hot takes on it.
Yeah.
I'll go to the Run Disney Run Facebook group and I'll just start reading nonsense.
That's part.
That's
I
my
did
favorite.
read through some of that nonsense
After every race, I was like, "Let's go to the page."
I'll tell you,
Oh, God.
there is no shortage of opinions and then people trashing those opinions.
Yes, agreed.
Well, I will say, if since this is the first week, if you want to get your thoughts in on Disneyland, definitely send them in because I will not be editing that episode until a few more days. So
Okay,
you have until
probably
let's
Sunday
be
at
real.
like
You have
10 p.m.
You have until the next Sunday to get that in because I'm going to pretend I'm going to edit this episode early, but I'm not. I'm going to do it Sunday because that's what I do.
Every episode he's like, I'm gonna get these episodes done so we can post them before we
That
go
never
out on
happens.
vacation, or before we do this, or before we do that. And then every single time it's like Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and he's just starting.
Yeah.
So
That's how it works.
So to all our friends that were in California, if you participated or if you were just there, please send us some sort of opinion or
Yeah.
some feedback. That'd be awesome. It can be audio. It can be written.
No, it'll have to be audio because I gotta add
it can be audio. That would be best.
That's your option.
It is your only
I
option.
can always come on and read it if I have to.
Okay, we can read some. All right. We got nothing else going on.
So yeah. Hey, what are we running for this week?
Do we have 5-star reviews first?
We do not.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I just kind of skipped right past that. Michael, do we have any 5-star reviews?
I didn't check, so hopefully not. But it's been a while. So it's 2024, guys. If you would like to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever else does reviews or ratings, or just share the show with your friends via social media, that would be fantastic. And we would be forever grateful for you.
It's also 2024 and we still don't have our ish together. So, here we are.
I was like, if they listen to this,
same old Will Run
this
for.
is definitely worth 5 stars.
Definitely.
This is the content.
Would you give less than 5 stars to Podcast to Rest Cancer?
Ouch. God, you kind of just went there.
Oh,
Look,
wow.
You sort of just went there.
Look, I have.
I'm not naming names.
cold.
Not naming names.
Diana has it worse
Look,
than I do.
I've got
That's
a little
true.
cold
She's
and I don't feel
done.
well.
She's being real brave about it, though.
And I think I have a fever and
I
I
will
don't feel well.
I will say we somehow stayed healthy during our Disney World trip.
I don't
Miraculously.
know how. It's because I didn't wear a mask on the plane like an idiot.
We forgot ours as we were driving to the airport.
Yeah, I had planned.
Yeah.
I had all grand plans to wear masks everywhere, and then I didn't bring any. So
We
then,
also didn't do rides or really.
yeah, we
anything
didn't
like
really
that,
go
so,
anywhere. Like
yeah.
we kind of like mostly were outside,
chill.
and yeah, we weren't really. We didn't even. By the time we decided for sure we were going to Disney World at all,
It was last minute. Yeah.
it was like we couldn't even get a park reservation because the parks were just absolutely out of control because
Oh.
it was the weekend right after New Year's, and that week
Everybody was
All
still
the
out of
pass
school.
holders, blackout
everyone
days.
was
Yeah.
and everyone was still out. All Florida schools were still out of school. Texas schools were out of school. There was still like a ton of states
People there. Yeah.
didn't go back to school. So you had the marathon weekend people plus all the people there still vacationing from the like New Year. And so it was a hot mess and we couldn't even get a park reservation at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a long hot take on whether or not I believe you should be able to sell a ticket for a place and then not have availability for said place. But we won't go there.
Yeah.
And we'll just say that we were not able to get. We were staying on resort.
We're
on
also
on
staying on
property
property
too,
and still
and could
couldn't
not
get
get into
Yeah,
a park.
yeah.
So
Oh, that's wild.
that's always fun.
Yeah.
Love that for Disney World. However, now I think at least in Disney World, officially park reservations are only for annual pass holders, which of course we are.
So,
But
yeah.
park hopping is also now available before 2 p.m.
Except
So
on weekends and blah, blah, blah. Caveat, caveat, caveat. Because nothing is ever simple there. Nothing is ever just an easy change.
okay, so we're going to go down the road of hot takes, I guess.
No, we're done. That's
We're
it.
done. We're done.
Yeah, done.
So hey, what are we running for this week?
Well, and to pile on in the nightmare that's going on is that we're in some kind of polar vortex. And
Yes,
it's
it sucks.
5 degrees outside, and we've got like 9 inches of snow outside.
Yes.
And I'm in Maryland, and this should not be happening. So I'm not running until this stops. It'll
Yeah.
be Peloton once whatever infection has exited my body.
So I
There
just
you
want to
go.
fact check. We have like 6 inches of snow, which is still a lot of ice, and then it's like 25 degrees.
Yeah.
And ice is Tom's
Worse.
best friend.
Oh my lord!
I don't even like how are you even going outside to walk your dog at this point?
Well, diarrhea helps because we gave him some whipped cream.
Oh.
It's his favorite thing.
It's his favorite thing, but it doesn't do well on his stomach. So like
Oh.
yesterday or the day before, he had to go out so many times and was all gross
I'm
and
so mad.
liquidy poop, but he kept having to go out.
I felt so bad for him because he didn't want to be out there either.
He did not want to be. And I had to keep getting up and taking him out, and poor little guy.
I will give
Aw.
a shout out to Tom because I'm obviously dying, and so Tom's been taking the dog out, so I haven't had to.
Open up the Hershey Highway. Let's go. Hey,
Oh
what are
my
we
God.
running for this week?
I think Diana was going into the I'm not actually running.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not.
So-
I'm not running right now.
So I can't be running for
yeah.
anything.
I thought about running outside today. I was going to take a ride down.
He came home and he
trail
was
run in the snow.
so excited.
And then I was like, it's like 15 degrees out.
He was so excited. He came home yesterday and announced that he was going for this trail run. And I just sort of laughed at him. And he's like, what? You don't believe in me?
The real feel is so cold. Like I'm looking, the real feel's in the teens because it's so windy out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at I was going to leave around 5. I looked at the temperature out where I was going. It was like 12.
Yeah. And the real feel was like negative something at that
5.
point.
And I was like, the Peloton's here and the treadmill's here.
He's like, you're either going to not find me at home or you're going to find me on the Peloton and the treadmill when you wake up. And I was like, so the Peloton and the treadmill is where I will find you.
And
then
that
he's
was
like-
where I was.
And he's like, but you're saying you don't believe in me. I'm like, I'm saying that you don't believe in the cold. So you will be on the Peloton and the treadmill.
I've done enough snowy trail runs. I don't really care anymore. It's not that.
I mean, I think that if we were doing it together,
Yeah,
you
it
would be
might be
more
different.
likely to be
Yeah.
out there. But yes, I was not believing him when he said he was going out there.
That was a good call.
But if you were running for something, what would you be running for?
Just staying active. Yeah. I don't really have any races. I have the virtual Donna marathon coming up.
You got a shout out.
that-
You got a shout
is
out.
that-
I don't want to keep going into Disneyland, but we saw Dana and Amy
Oh yeah, they were there.
like
Jamie-
a bunch,
Jamie were there.
like
Yeah, yeah.
randomly. And they mentioned that you were doing that.
Yes, yeah, I'm doing the virtual. Depending on the weather, I'm doing it outside. I am not doing a virtual marathon on the treadmill. I will let you know. I don't care if it's pouring rain and 40 degrees. I'm going outside because I am not doing 4.5 to 5 hours on a treadmill. I can tell you that right now. It's not gonna happen.
So,
I don't know why.
sounds fun.
I like the treadmill.
I don't mind it. I've done 2 to 3 hours. I just don't think I can do a full marathon on the treadmill.
I think you could.
I mean, yes, I could. I don't know
I'm just
that I
saying,
want
like
to.
if it's like -5 degrees out, I think you could do it on the treadmill.
Forecast is looking good, looking 40s, 50s. I'll be
Okay.
good. Yeah.
So, shirt off, like come on.
Be good.
January is
Go
so
wild.
bad. I hate it.
So I'm running I'm just staying active right now. Staying consistent, mixing a lot of Peloton in, upping my Peloton miles. My butt is definitely paying the price for that.
Is it adapting?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I did a 90-minute ride this
Oh my
morning.
god.
So, it's definitely adapting.
No, that
Okay.
undercarriage.
The most I've ever done is an hour.
Yeah, I did 90 minutes, no lube.
I don't know.
No
I don't know
lube.
why that's a part of it.
Because you've never tried saddle butter?
Saddle butter, Erin.
Yes.
Is this going to be another thing you influence? Is this going to be like squirrel's nut butter? I don't want to be
Well, first of all,
associated with
First of all, saddle butter is by Squirrel's Nut Butter. It's just
patent
called
pending. Patent pending.
saddle butter, but they also make a bunch of different kinds that are like the same thing, where it's like the Body Glide or whatever you want to call it. I think actually Body Glide also makes a saddle
Saddle
one
glide.
that's made specifically for, the undercarriage area.
Does squirrel's nut
Yeah.
butter
The
make
sensitive
actual
parts.
butter?
Yes, you can eat it. It's cocoa.
That sounds
Go ahead and just take a big old lick.
that sounds delicious.
Which I am once again an ambassador for Squirrel's Nut Butter. This year I have a discount code. If anybody would like it, they can send me a message.
Mark
I also
Mark said
happen-
that this is going to happen, where it's going to become the Erin tries to sell products, and that you're going to shut this whole thing down like shenanigans. And I don't want to go that way.
I also have become a sweater crew member,
A what?
a sweater crew
Oh,
member.
I don't know what that is.
It's the salt stick.
Oh, that's a salt stick
Ambassador.
stuff.
Oh.
Wow.
Because you sweat and then you have to replace your electrolytes with salt.
This is
and
true.
Salt tabs.
All
So
right.
I am now an ambassador, and I also have a 20% discount for salt tabs too.
Are
so
we running for product?
Go ahead.
I am-
What's your
I-
Etsy store?
I-
Just
I am-
keep slinging.
there you go. I am running for ambassadorship. and
Look at
all
that.
of my new ambassadors.
So-
Look at that.
Someone wants to start a Patreon. I'm not really running with any kind of regular consistency, but
It's like a recurring theme amongst this.
pretty bad. I do have a trail race in 3 weeks.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
Oh, that's right. The one
Yeah,
that
the first one you
Jen
did,
Hall
yeah.
tried to
It's
like
the
get
Patuxent,
everyone to
little
do.
Patuxent.
Yeah.
It's a 10K. It's pretty. I just hope it somewhat dries up, but it
It's wet out there right now.
it's a pretty tame from Rock of the Knob standards, but like I don't know. I'm gonna actually wear my trail shoes this time.
Good call. Good call.
Are you running for signing up for Loopy Looper?
I'm on the fence. I just have to think about when that is.
It is in August.
Because we do have a lot of races that we have. Some of the ones that we do pretty much every year, but we have registered for a bunch of different things. I just got to make sure that I'm not overcommitting and don't have any free weekends.
Okay, because that race opened. Actually, it's been so long that since we recorded, I don't even think we did a recap of Frosty Looper because I think Frosty
yeah,
was the
you're right.
weekend after
Yes.
our last recording. So we saw Greg from Rise and Run there.
That was awesome. He did a marathon out of nowhere.
He did.
It's because he's
Very
awesome.
proud of him.
Very impressed.
But that same day, Loopy Looper did open, and Leah Miller signed up for the 24-hour, and so did Lisa of Chiquita. So it sounds like we're gonna have a little bit of some listenership representation there. So it'd be nice to get a crew together.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a relay of some kind.
Yeah.
There's a relay team for 12-hour and a relay team for a 24-hour.
Yep.
So maybe we can start tossing around that idea.
Okay.
If anybody's interested in coming out to New Jersey and doing the loop that we so often talk about.
It is a magical land. If you've never been to this particular lake,
about 2 a.m. it's going to get
it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everything. It's a nice little slice of America.
Definitely is.
I'm assuming Michelle K will be there. Maybe Peter will be there cooking up some salmon again. So
there's always that.
I'll just pull the cancer card again and get Peter down here for some salmon. It's fine.
Just request
Peter
to come.
You keep saying this thing. Like, I feel like you want to talk about it.
No.
Okay. All right.
Would you like me to talk about it now?
Fine, because you won't shut up about it. It's ridiculous by this point. Come on.
I'm like, I don't know where we're inserting this. I guess, obviously I posted it on the podcast Instagram and Facebook page because I had posted it on my personal, and I felt like we should at least address it. But yes, I have been diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm in a much better place at this point as of January 21st.
Yeah, for sure.
From when we found out. This, I will give a quick, very brief background. It's something that has sort of been pain from if you go back and listen to the Patapsco episode, we talked about some issues I had, some pain that I was feeling in my chest, and when I put my vest on, it felt like really uncomfortable, and kind of tracing back to when this started feeling weird and kind of had some hints of something being wrong. I would say I would go back to Patapsco. It developed very quickly. So yes, I'm not really sure what else to say about this moment. Michael and I have spent a lot of time doing a lot of research. I know that when we announced it,
we did our own research.
Yes, when we announced it initially, I said I didn't give any staging information, and I didn't really give any information. And I know that there was a lot of people who came out and said, gave a lot of positive, I'm a fighter, we're going to get through this. And I believe that all to be true, but I haven't really talked about the full diagnosis. But at this point, it is stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, which means that it is not something that is curable, unfortunately. It is not a death sentence. It is not something that there's a difference between terminal cancer and metastatic cancer. As long as it's considered treatable, I will be alive and around and well. I don't have a terminal diagnosis, meaning that I will. Terminal cancer is considered you have less than 6 months to live.
Yeah.
So metastatic cancer has come a long way. I encourage you to do some research on metastatic cancer. There's not a lot known about it. Do not read any statistics, though.
Yes.
Treatments have come a very long way. Immunotherapy wasn't even approved until 2019. So anyone who has in the last few years been treated with immunotherapy aren't even counted in those numbers. I have a lot more to say about it, and I'm going to keep this a lot briefer. And maybe in a future episode, we can dive further into it. Right now, Michael and I would like things to stay status quo. Keep things as normal as possible. Keep laughing. Keep making fun of me. Make some dark humor about my cancer. It's fine. I'm fine with it. You don't have to be all rainbows and sunshine with me. Like I said, Peter, Michelle, Kay, when we were at Frosty Looper, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be making some salmon, and I was thinking about going and doing this." And I was like, "Oh, you're going to do it over by my tent, right?" He's like, "I'm not sure where I'm going to be doing it." And I was like, "Well, I have cancer, so I feel like I win."
Should be right here. Yeah.
Man.
We're rough. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey,
you got to keep laughing.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
I don't know. What are you going to do?
I know people will have a lot of questions. After this episode drops, I can actually post an article I think it was like the 10 myths about metastatic cancer.
That was actually a good read.
It's a very good read. It's very informative. It'll kind of give you some do's and don'ts of things to say or not to say to people with metastatic cancer, and give a little bit of information about it. I am going to live my life as best as I can. I think now that we sort of have the answers to where we are, I think it's kind of made Michael and I feel a little calmer about the prognosis and what we have to do now to move through it and forward. And there's hope that, I can be what's considered NED, N-E-D, which is no evidence of disease. But it does mean that forever I will have to have some form of treatment.
Yeah. Yep.
So
whether it's actual infusion or a pill or whatever it is, there will be some form of treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is possible for them to do a PET scan and not find any evidence of a tumor or disease through getting chemotherapy and immunotherapy. So that is what our hope is at this point. Yeah. And really my biggest hope is that the worst thing about this is cancer has taken running away from me. And that has been very difficult because, as we've all listened to on this podcast, I have struggled in the last few years.
This is true.
To return to running.
Yeah.
And every single time I start to run, something fucks it up.
Well, and I was actually just thinking, because I know, there have been certain times where you've been actually injured, where it's been your leg, your foot, or whatever the hell it is, and actual things going on with the body. But then there were kind of points where you're I just don't feel right, and I wonder if it was just kind of signs. I don't know if
no way
I
to
don't know
know,
enough
but
if it comes out of just nowhere and then all of a sudden you have it, or if that was. Not that you'd be able to tell, but very early signs of.
And I think that based on conversations I've had with the doctor, it would almost be impossible to know because, yes, it is entirely possible that this has been going on for longer than the tumor was growing, that there was cancer cells within my body.
And your body was getting fatigued because it was fighting them. And
that was sort of my question immediately, because I think that was my initial reaction when I first was diagnosed, and I was in a bad place at that point. And I said, I've been saying forever, something is wrong with me. And this what's been wrong with me this whole time.
Because you've been feeling shit for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And the way that they talked, it is entirely possible that this tumor it was forming and it would be in a lump that you wouldn't feel. I have extremely dense breasts. This is, a great
Am I right? Up top.
This is a great conversation for a running podcast.
Oh my God.
And it's something that, as we move through this, maybe we will talk about in an episode, because it is important for women to understand it. It's possible that the lump was missed by even the gynecologist, it's entirely possible.
That's because they're too busy asking about how work's going while they're feeling you up.
When you're uncomfortably have your legs up and they're like, hey, so how's the jab? And then you're like, got your arm up and they're pressing into the boob.
Feeling all around.
So, well, Erin, thank you for sharing that. I'd like to. Do you have any more?
No, I think the thing that I was about to say was that the thing that is saddest is that it's kind of stolen running from me right this moment. It hurts to run. There's you have to think as any woman here listening knows, when you run, your boobs shake. So that movement and that shifting is really uncomfortable for me. And it's actually part of what made me really figure out this kind of quickly when it was growing, was that the weekend we were in Disney World in November, I was in actual pain trying to run.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was like, something is definitely not right.
Yeah.
And so it hurts. And I'm just hoping more than anything that the faster I can start treatment, that I can get back to actually running. And everyone has pretty much given me their blessing on that. Like the oncologists and the breast surgeon and everyone said, being active is always one of the best ways to live. Mm-hmm. So, and there's studies that show people who stay active during cancer treatment, have a better life expectancy. So my goal is to get back to running as quickly as I can.
Yeah. There you go.
Get on that bike and, do all kinds of there's just different stuff you can do.
Yeah. I mean, really, until the surgery right after we got back from Disney World, I mean, you were active.
Yeah, I was still riding. I mean, I was struggling a little bit there, but hold me accountable. Everyone, that's if people ask me what they can do for me, I think that's the best answer that I have, is make sure that I'm still living, and hold me accountable. Ask me if I'm riding the bike, or if you want to do a bike ride with me, get me on that, because it is a little harder for me right now to mentally be in that space.
Yeah.
But
it'll still be another probably week or two before you can ride, even lightly. So
the surgery I had has been. Michael and I are dumb. I mean, this is not surprising.
Recurring theme on the show.
In case anyone ever didn't listen to the Grand Canyon episode. So the doctor tells us,
are you dumb or just not great planners?
No, the doctor tells us it'll be like a 2-week recovery from this lymph node surgery. And in my head, I turn that into day 3.
3 days.
I'm weaning myself off of the pain meds. And then I'm in excruciating pain by night. And
we're like,
and I'm like,
how bad could it be?
This hurts.
We're ultra runners. We suffer through pain. Yeah.
Or slight sore throat, and I was like, I can't possibly record today.
Or when the news comes out on a Wednesday that somebody died from the heat in the Grand Canyon when it was 108 degrees, and then the temperature drops to 104 degrees, and you're like, let's go.
Yeah, so I twice tried to wean myself off of the pain meds earlier than I was supposed to, and
get that good
I twice
medication.
was reminded
you
that
take a little extra. You gotta sprinkle that on top.
Also,
probably listen to the doctor when he says 2 weeks recovery.
Also, I wanted to make like an off-color joke when you were talking. When you mentioned boobs moving when you're running, because that is not exclusive to women.
That's true.
There you go.
True.
Not to take anything away from women, but mine
and
jiggle constantly.
There is also men get breast cancer, so you know.
It's true.
I can check for that because when we're sitting on the couch, if my feet get cold, I like to just shove them under his boob. Like,
she does.
It's you can do a foot exam of his boobs. Is that?
It's very emasculating when she shoves a toe right up under my nubs.
Oh God.
We are back. Welcome to the new year.
Welcome to 2024, everyone.
We'll be talking a lot about boobs on this podcast from now on.
It's true.
Get your boobies checked.
Yeah, seriously. There's no segue.
The other thing you learn is that there's no good way to tell people you have cancer.
Yeah, it's great.
And there's no good segues in or out of the conversation.
Nope.
And so you just do it. You just insert it, and then you just go back to normal.
Yeah, I had
and it's fine.
I had a snow meeting, like a work call snow meeting with all the different facilities I deal with, and like. At the end of it, I forgot the one person had just come back from being away and had no idea what was going on. So I'm like, oh, fuck. All right. I'm like, oh, shoot. Now I got to edit that out. Sorry, everybody.
It's all right.
Sorry to myself.
Sorry, Michael.
So I call, it's like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I call him off. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So like, I'm not going to be there. I'm in the meeting because I got to organize stuff or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be there. Yeah, my wife has stage 4 cancer. He's like, wait, what? I'm like, there's really no, like, I can't like tiptoe into it. I just got to tell you what's going on. Like, you've been away. Like, you know, other people knew who were in the meeting, and this person didn't know, and it was clear they didn't know. And I was like, all right, let me just call them on the side. And let them know. And it's like,
fine.
Well, how do I go transition from snow to?
There's no good transitions. It's fine. I've learned this.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
Insert it into the conversation, and then you just go back to being dumb.
It's still, it's part of life. It is what it is. You just got to deal with it.
Well, can I mention a health update for myself?
Absolutely.
So I'm fat.
Please tell them about your doctor's appointment in December.
So I haven't been to a primary care doctor since pre-pandemic. Like,
he says that it's been years. The
years.
only time he's ever gone to the doctor since we've been in a relationship is like a sick appointment, like where he's gone
no wellness visit.
He hasn't had a wellness visit in like 15
It is not
years.
that I'm anti any science /medicine /doctor at all. But
no, I don't believe that. You're just a man.
You're just a man.
I mean, that is a stereotype that absolutely works.
I was talking to my sister-in-law. My brother hasn't been to the dentist in like 10 years. And I was like, yeah, his teeth look gross.
That's worse.
Yeah.
That's somehow worse. But anyways, I go to the doctor. It's a new doctor. And I have high blood pressure. And so she's like, you got to lose weight. You got to change your diet, all this stuff. And then she says to me, she's like, because if you have a stroke and you can't help yourself, no one's going to want to be around you. And you're going to be all by yourself.
Wow. That feels like
verbatim. Like that's exactly what she said.
Holy cow.
And I'm like, man, just.
That's something.
And it was like 3 days before Christmas. It was like the 23rd.
She's like, if you have a stroke, no one's going to want to help you. No one's going to want to be around you. And I'm like,
was she projecting? What is happening?
She was very direct. She was very dry.
Oh my God.
I somewhat appreciate that. But, you know, hindsight 2020, who knew eating fast food indiscriminately for 35 years catches up to you?
The other thing is that I did not like about her, and I've kind of always said this, like, you shouldn't get like nutrition advice from your doctor because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, you need to go to a nutritionist because she told him to do keto and then was like intermittent fasting. And I was like, don't do either of those things.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing? Like, go to a nutritionist and like get on some
and
type
just
of,
get a diet you can sustain.
Yeah, not like when I say a diet, like change your overall diet, not go on a diet.
Not
like,
go on a diet.
Yeah. Lifestyle.
She was pushing keto and she was pushing intermittent fasting hard. Like she was like, here's a guy on YouTube that gives you really good instruction on how to intermittent fast. And like, I know people who have done keto and I've known people who have intermittent fast. This is nothing against either of those, but she was like, these two specific things will help you drop weight very quickly.
I mean, she's not wrong that they wouldn't help.
Sure
they will actually help you lose weight quickly.
But you want to
But there's a reason, and it's because they're a drastic, unsustainable fad diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fun. So I'm on medication.
Again, no shame to anyone who uses them or does them. I'm just saying that if you're looking for something that's a little bit more sustainable,
you want to do something that
then
you
probably do want
doing.
to talk to a nutritionist versus,
I can't imagine
and get their advice on that.
Cranky I would be if I did intermittent fasting.
Oh yeah, I can't.
I know a lot of people who do it.
So do I.
Yeah.
I'm like, there'd be no way.
Yeah, no, I'm not for that. I'm for intermediate snacking.
Yeah, I'm snacking all the time.
And then the the last piece of news for today, specifically January 21st, when we're recording this is the 1-year anniversary of us bringing home Indiana Bones the dog.
Indiana Bones, that's
Aww.
right. Yeah,
sweet Indy
with his dumb face.
Tom didn't want him.
So mean. Tom, you didn't want him?
Nope, he didn't like his face.
He looked wonky. He like if you looked at his face, he looked like that lawnmower guy from the Lawnmower Guy. What was that movie?
Lawnmower Man.
No.
Do you look him in the face and tell him that you didn't want him?
Yep.
I can't say it
tell
now.
him all the time. Whenever we're showing Tom affection and not me, I'm like, he didn't even want you.
We're definitely.
Are you thinking of Sling Blade? Is that what you were thinking?
That's what I meant. I meant Sling Blade.
My God, what is happening?
Thank you for remembering that. Not actual Lawnmower Man.
Oh my God.
Oh, and the other thing about Tom's health is he's got a thick heart. He went to the cardiologist.
I gotta.
What does that mean?
So, like any muscle, when you pump it a lot, it gets bigger, right? This is exactly how he described it to me. Like any muscle, and he was great. He was really good. When it because it
you pump and it gets bigger.
But it's going out but not coming in is the problem.
But like, so it pumps hard to pump blood out. But then on the
Sorry, Michael's mind is not on a heart right now.
We're pumping. Michael, we're just pumping.
So it's strong enough to pump it out, but it's so thick it can't get in.
And that's why he put me on, and it's all the blood pressure.
Michael has turned into the biggest 12-year-old in the entire universe right now.
It's fine.
I blame that on Wild Feather Distillery. I had a canned win-win.
Nice. Shout out to Wild Feather. But so yeah, it all roads lead to blood pressure and lowering that, and so my heart doesn't have to pump as hard. So I'm on medication. I'm really trying to make some adjustments to my diet. I'm eating fruit and vegetables. Have you had these?
Wow.
I'll tell you.
Awesome.
I bought apples. Apples are so good. Are you guys familiar with apples?
So much.
What?
Oh my God.
He hates apples.
I hate the texture of apples.
I love a good
I like apple juice.
Apple. Yeah.
I hate the texture.
I love apple juice.
Yeah. Well, he likes apple juice, but he doesn't like I like a big juicy apple.
Do you want to talk about Walt Disney World Marathon weekend?
We could do our recap, I guess, of that weekend. We were not there for the 5K.
Yeah. So, obviously, things changed for us over the last month and a half, 2 months that we've been dealing with stuff. So we were supposed to go coast to coast.
Yeah.
With the circumstances of everything, we weren't sure what trips we'd even be able to make. And fortunately, we were able to make it to Disney World, we were unable to make it to Disneyland, so we were not able to complete coast to coast. But we did marathon weekend, and we were originally supposed to fly down on Friday, like super late, and leave on Sunday super early from like basically going from the marathon finish line practically to shower to the plane. But with circumstances, we sort of switched things around. We ended up flying down on Thursday night. So we missed the expo day and we missed the 5K day. We flew down Thursday night and then we stayed until Monday. So we got an extra little bit of time down there. So we were able to, on Friday, be at the 10K finish line.
Yep.
Where we
That was
surprised people, because we didn't really tell people that we were not going, but we didn't really tell people we were going.
Because we didn't know.
Because we didn't know. And anyone who asked me, I had sort of said that I didn't know that we'd be able to make either trip. So most people weren't really expecting us to be at the 10K finish line. And so I made sure not to tell anyone that we were definitely flying down so that we could actually surprise some people. So that was fun. Yeah. So I don't know.
10K day. We just went to the reunion area and hung out.
Yeah. We got to see,
just chilled with
kind of like over by where you come from, where the bag check area is, where all the bag gear trucks are. Like you come in between all of them. We were standing like right there, kind of watching to see if we could see who was coming, so that we could
just
surprise people as they were coming through. And Marcia, I think, was the first person to find us. Mm-hmm. We saw Linda and Steph and their whole crew. Who else did we see that day? I don't know. We saw
a lot of people.
Did we see Matt Trax that day? We saw a lot of people throughout the weekend, so it'll be hard for me to remember because it has been actually a little bit of time.
It's been a couple weeks.
You saw DVC Runner. I saw.
Yeah, we saw DVC Runner. We saw Ryan Teets.
I met the world famous GB Raps.
Oh, we met the world famous GB Raps.
I was like,
we met Doug.
I was nervous. Yeah, Doug
the pug.
Half day. Doug, my hero from the War on Cars podcast,
who I met at the half marathon day, and then told him how Michael had a man crush on him.
True.
Did you fan out? Did you get weird?
I'm always very chill. I mean, I met Glenn Hanford and was very chill. So
yeah, I know, and I'm still mad.
I have no chill.
I would have blown off everybody at that Ragnar and gone to that show.
David Bennett.
Yeah, was there. Yep,
Bennett to win it.
Yeah, super nice. So nice.
Gosh, I don't even know who else.
So many people.
We saw a lot of people.
Megan.
I saw. Yeah. The Avises were there, but they weren't there until a couple days later. We saw Run Disner down there. I mean, now we're just naming random people we saw throughout the weekend. I don't know that we saw them all on the 10K day, because 10K day was, I don't know. There wasn't as many people.
Yeah, we just hung out afterwards in reunion area.
Yeah, I was trying to see surprise people, so I didn't really tell people. So like Sam Gano, who actually ended up walking with me basically the whole weekend when I threw my races. I didn't get to see him, so I had to like send. So afterwards, all the people that I'd hoped to see, I sent a picture. I took a picture in front of the Epcot ball in the parking lot as we were like walking towards the car, and sent them basically the picture so that everyone sort of. And then I posted it on my Instagram, like, I think I'm lost. So that people sort of knew that I was down in Disney World. So we got some messages after that. We saw Zane and Andrina.
Yep. So that was like 10K day. That's all we really did. Then we went to the we had to go pick up our stuff at the expo after the reunion area closed down.
Yes.
It was nice and dead when we got there, so that was good.
Yeah, going on a Friday at like 2:00 in the afternoon is the way to go.
There was literally no line at all for anything.
Yeah.
You just walk right in, grab your stuff. It's very good.
Yeah.
We hung out on the expo floor for a bit with people.
Yeah, I went and said hi to the Sparkle ladies.
Yeah.
Talked to Kelly for a little while. Went and got our shirts, and then we hung out over. I think that's when we saw Mark and Megan.
Yes,
we saw
Mark
Mark and
came,
Megan, and we saw
bunch
that
of
was
other
like
people.
Linda and Dan, and all of them were all hanging out. Chopper Girl Kelly,
Yep,
was hanging out over there. So we got to just chill for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good time. I don't think we just went to dinner that night. We didn't really do anything, so
I don't even
know what we did.
What
honestly,
we did that night. To be honest, Friday.
Who knows? Could have been anything. Who knows?
We went to Citric Coast.
Oh, we went to Citric Coast. Yeah,
delicious. I also saw that it was actually warm where you were.
Yes.
So
it was very comfortable.
That must have been nice.
It was very comfortable. It was like perfect. I will say, other than the rain issue at the half, weather-wise, like it couldn't have been better.
I was expecting it to be colder, to be honest, because you know how you hear usually 50s in Florida is chilly.
That damp 50.
It's like damp 50. It was surprisingly not as cold as I was expecting it to be. So I definitely had more clothes than I needed to, because I brought a lot of layers just in case.
Yeah, I saw people posting photos from like the parks and stuff, and the measure is not usually guys in shorts, but girls in shorts. So there were girls in their like sparkle skirts and shorts in the park. So it was like, oh, they must actually have like okay-ish weather.
Yeah. Friday, we knew that the half marathon day was going to be sort of short, up in the air. And then I guess it was like 5 o'clock in the evening. It was dinner. We were at dinner when the news came that they had officially cut the courses.
Yeah. So for people who don't know,
were
they
like
cut
looking at the maps. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, for people who don't know and aren't like following all the Run Disney pages, they cut the half marathon course because there was going to be thunderstorms, right?
Yeah. So
it was pretty rough too.
There was threat of, it was the thunder and lightning, obviously, that makes, and people were like expecting them to cancel the race. So the fact that they still tried to get everyone off. They announced that the start would be at 4:45 instead of at 5 a.m. So they were planning to start people early, 15 minutes early. So they were trying to get everyone out on course. And then the course was changed to a 7.1, where everyone nicknamed it the half of the half, which also doesn't make sense to me because it's not half of a half.
I'll tell you,
whatever.
Raw Threads jumped on that quick.
Yeah.
Did they?
Within days or something, they had a.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the half of the half.
And then also some of it got cut even further while people were out on course.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
The weather was rolling in.
Because when I was out there, we actually got cut.
Oh, did you get cut?
Slightly. We only got cut by like a quarter of a mile. Everyone else got cut by a full mile. But anyway, so yeah, it was Friday night when we got the news. Everyone's like freaking out, like trying to figure out like what people are like, because now people are like, do you go with your full costume? Do you not go with your full costume if it's going to rain? And
that's true.
So all this conversation's happening about like what, and then, you get all the haters also who are like, I can't believe they've made this call already. I mean, listen, Disney needs to do any race director needs to do what they need to do when they need to do it. Like, decisions have to be made. They have to change an entire course overnight.
Yeah.
Change where all of the course markings are. There's like, it's not just something that they could have woken up at like midnight and decided what they were doing.
Yeah.
First of all, they needed to announce it before people go to sleep so people can be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to start a race 15 minutes sooner.
Yep. Nope.
There were a ton of people when I got there running in the parking lots. I actually, like, for a second I didn't understand what was happening at first. I'm like walking into the start area, which is completely changed from the last couple of years. So actually, when you go,
basically the springtime, like that springtime where it was all in the parking lot, not on the back road at all.
Oh yeah.
You were at springtime?
I ran the first one. Gee. Wow. I'm glad I went with you guys.
I've never.
I ran the first miler.
Yeah, but the finish line was still the same though.
What are you talking about?
At Springtime Surprise,
yeah.
This is the first year where they changed the finish line completely.
Oh, you said start area.
Yeah, well, the finish. I meant the whole finish start area was completely different.
The finish
this
shoot
year.
was, yeah.
The finish shoot was completely. They no longer have access to the road that's behind.
They used to line up on
where you used to go.
Yeah.
So now the finish shoot is in a completely different place.
I could do this every year and not tell you. I have no idea where stuff does anything.
Did the start
I'm like a trained monkey.
change
The start is where they've been starting for all the 5Ks and the 10Ks out in the parking lot. Like that's right next to the start line. And we didn't do the long walk to
you don't go
where
out to the
road is anymore. So,
just for the full, right?
For the full and the half.
You used to do that. But
okay.
They don't anymore either.
So you're not doing that anymore. You're staying in the actual
everything starts in the same
parking
place
lot
now,
area.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes. So the corrals are all in that area. Anyway. So that morning, as I was walking through the area, you saw all these people just like running, and I'm like, where are they all running to? And then I realized that everyone was trying to do their half because everybody wanted, like, especially if you were doing a challenge. So all the dopey and the goofy people were all running before to get miles in.
Absolutely.
And then they were all, when we finished, you saw everyone looping the parking lot too.
Everyone was looping
and then other people went back to like their resorts. Like there was a lot of people running over at Pop and Art of Animation and the All-Star Resorts. There was a ton of people running in those areas to finish their half.
Yeah, I would have taken that 7 miles as a gift.
That's what I did.
This is just my opinion. If I had trained for like a dopey, I would have had to have completed that half, those miles on that day. Mentally, for myself.
I feel like the first time I did it, yes, but any other time than the first time, nope.
Yeah. No, I totally get.
Definitely maybe the first time, right? Because I wouldn't want any, not saying there is one, again, this is only my opinion, but I wouldn't want any asterisks next to
for yourself.
48.6 miles, right?
Yeah.
In your own head.
In my own head, mentally.
Yeah. So my goal was to finish the half marathon. Actually, I went into this weekend not knowing if I was doing any of it, but then once we were there, everyone kept saying, oh, you got to at least start. And if you get swept, who cares? So I was like, all right, fine. So I decided that I was starting. I had talked to Sam Gano, who is a perfect dopey, and he walks basically a perfect 16-minute mile. He like walks.
Oh, it's so fast.
Between a 16 and a 16:30 at all times. And it is so hard to walk that pace. So I met up with him and he walked and kept me basically moving at that pace the whole time. And because it was a shortened course, it was a little easier for me to get through. And we stopped for one character, like when we got towards Epcot, back towards Epcot again, because at that point, because we were walking a 16-minute pace, the same pace as the balloon ladies, we knew that we had like almost 40 minutes from the time that we had started to when they had started. So we knew we at least had that 40 minutes because at worst we were doing like a 16:15.
Yeah.
So they weren't really we didn't lose a ton of time. So we stopped for one character. Marcia caught up to us. Actually had passed us and asked me where we were. So she ended up joining Sam and I. When we got to, right before we got to Epcot, it started like sprinkling. And we were like, oh, here it comes. And we were like, I took out my phone, looked at the radar. I was like, oh, we're in trouble. And as soon as we got into Epcot, it started like raining on us. Not like heavily, and we made it through basically all of World Showcase before it started like pouring. So the course was basically roadways and ramps, and it was quite possibly the worst thing I've ever done in Disney World.
Oh, God.
It was literally the entire time you started, you went up a ramp, back down the clover leaf of the ramp, back up another ramp, back down the other side of the ramp, back up another ramp.
I think they tried to keep everything
because they were trying to keep yes.
Yeah.
So you were basically running all the ramps around Epcot.
That's nice.
To come back into Epcot.
I think it was a way to give them options to cut it further if more weather came in, essentially.
You started out on the roadways and finished in Epcot. So there was no like you start in Epcot the way like you go through through Epcot multiple times normally, because they had cut that part out. We only went through Epcot the one time. So we started on roadway. So the first 5 miles of this 7.1 course were ramps. So we were basically on pitched roadway going up and down ramps for 5 miles.
Sounds fun.
It was literally the worst course I've ever done in Disney. And then when you come back into Epcot, you come in the way you always come in by the buses, and then through the back lot area, and then you come in where Figment is, and the Figment bathrooms are. So at that point, you went around all of World Showcase. It had started drizzling when we'd gotten into Epcot. So we went all the way around World Showcase. And then as we were going around to where the new Walt statue is, and so then you were supposed to go through the Walt statue area and around to the front where the ball is, and then come back around through that same tunnel that Connections is in. And when we did it, we did not go up to, we were literally watching them move the cones. So they basically did not allow us to go up to the Walt statue. So they cut out that part. And so going through that lovely narrow Connections tunnel between where Connections Cafe and the Creations is, you had 2 courses now coming together.
Oh.
Wedging through there at the same
wedging
time.
through there at the same time, because you had people coming towards us, turning to the left and having us turn turning left and then us turning right. And so we're trying to like come together as 2 big courses, which was a disaster. And then at that point, they were also cutting all of World Showcase out. So like the balloon ladies did not go through World Showcase at all.
They
so they had that whole mile cut out from them because it had started raining. And I think that if you looked at the radar, there was a lot of red on it, and it never actually thundered and lightninged, but I guess the threat of it coming quickly.
If one person at a Disney race got struck by lightning, they'd never have another race again.
Yeah, it would be the end. Yeah.
Like they'd never do anything ever again.
And I will say that I was almost glad, I said to Michael, I was almost glad that it started pouring at the end. It sucked, but it at the same time, like it just reinforced like the reason Disney did it. Yeah. So and so when we came across, I didn't get a finish line picture. They actually had PhotoPass wasn't even out there. They had all the tents because it was pouring when we came through the finish. They had all the green tents were actually all zipped up. So we got like no pictures towards the end, which was kind of sad. And then like literally as you cross the finish line, they're like, get the F out of here.
Yeah, it was pretty much.
So there was like, they didn't even open the beer tent, anything. So there was no food. There was nothing you could get afterwards. They were basically like shoving you onto the buses and like, leave as quickly as you can from this area, please.
Hey, cue the Run Disney posts of that day when it was like, hey, if they cut the course, do I get a refund?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
and then 700 comments after that.
I just saw this girl, she posted that they cut the course so I don't get to run through the castle. Can I get a refund?
I do think, here's my thing, because it's Run Disney, and like if it was just a normal race, I'd say, no, it is what it is. This is $1 trillion company or whatever the hell they're worth. Like they could easily do, even if they do a gift card refund, like, hey, you can either run the race at the shortened distance or take a gift card refund.
Yeah, I think that's what they did the year they canceled it.
Yes.
Yeah, they
or
told
like
you
a
could
day
do
ticket
you
or
could
something like
they
that.
gave you the choice to transfer to the marathon or a gift card refund, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if they're going to shorten the course with as much as you pay for these races, and they are a gigantic corporation, this is not some mom and pop race. Like, I'm not going to like give leeway to mega corporations. Sorry, I'm just not. They can afford to make good on it.
They can afford to do a lot of things that they don't
Even
do.
if they gave like a half of
Partial refund. I'm totally fine with
for
that.
good faith.
Yeah. Like, I'm not crying for the $1 trillion company. Sorry, I'm just not doing it.
No.
Like, they can do better than just shortening the course for safety. Absolutely great, perfect. You should absolutely do that and look out for the people that are out there.
Yeah, because it's not just about the people; it's about the volunteers
and the workers,
and making sure that everyone's off the roads. Like, it's not just the runners. It's not like the race ends when the runners are done. They have all of the people and all of the safety considerations of also the people who are have to now clean up or stay and finish volunteering or whatever.
Yeah.
So even if it maybe didn't thunderstorm during the actual race itself, if within the next like 10 to 15 minutes after the race was supposed to be over, there's the threat, they still have to like watch out for their people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's not just about the race or the people who are running the race.
Yeah, they're kind of the last people it's about, quite frankly, to be fair. You should be looking out for your volunteers and workers first, and then the runners third.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my eyes.
So going back really quickly, the overall theme of Marathon Weekend, they had some very interesting character themes where they, I guess, because the 100th anniversary, I'm not quite too clear on like where this came from.
I feel like they have anniversaries all the time now.
I know. The 5K, they had like all the characters from like the 20s, 30s ish era. And then the 10K day, they did like the 40s, 50ish era. And then the half marathon day, it was like the 70s, 80s into like the 90s. And then it was like the late 90s, 2000, and all of the aughts for the marathon was like the theme of like the characters.
Was it? I didn't notice.
Oh.
I saw that squirrel was out there again.
Yes, I saw the squirrel.
I took a picture of the squirrel for you.
Oh, half marathon day. I met Wendy Larson, hand cyclist.
I met her on marathon
Trademark.
day.
And Chris, her amazing husband, Chris Larson.
Yes.
The hero of the Walt Disney Corral, by the way. He is the mechanic man out there.
I met him on Sunday when he was fixing someone else's bike.
Yes.
Or wheelchair.
Could have been chair.
Yeah,
also.
sorry, chair.
Yeah, he's got the toolkit. He's ready to go at all times. It's pretty awesome. So they were just hanging out.
We also saw Shawnee.
Yes.
At the start line there.
Yep. So when I was, like I said, I saw Wendy go by when I was in the cheer area and I found her. Oh, there was somebody else. When I was looking for Wendy and Chris, and I eventually found them, and then somebody came up to me and I was speaking to them. I had a lot going on in my head at that moment because I was also trying to find you as well. And I believe on his bib it said Andrew, but he goes by his middle name. So if that is you, please remind me who you are. It was very nice meeting you. I was a little bit flustered in the moment because I was doing 4 things at once. And just the half marathon, we were excited for after the half marathon because that's the big reunion area day where everybody hangs out. And that was kind of...
You're good. You're good.
Who cares? Just keep talking.
I'm going to scold Erin.
It's fine.
For dropping her phone. Anyway, so that's I know I was really excited to hang out and see everybody, and that kind of got washed away for us. So we were trying to find because I was in the watching at the reunion area. I was trying to find as many people as I could because I wasn't sure who we'd see after the marathon. Because that's not as easy as after the half.
Yeah, I feel like the half was Zane was running the half only. I think the Avises were running the half only. We knew that Run Disnerd and Kelly were only running the half marathon. So there was a lot of people that were excited to see after the half marathon. That people oftentimes if you're going to pick a race of that race weekend, it's usually, if you're only going to do one, sometimes it's just the half.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd see a ton of people at the post party. So it was a little disappointing when they just sort of ushered everyone away, and you weren't even really allowed to come like stand around. They were just sort of like, if you were standing around, they're like, the buses are that way.
Yeah, they were trying to just scoot
monorail's that way.
Yeah, I did see.
Please leave.
I saw Shawnee go by, who eventually met the next morning.
Yes,
I did not want to stop them because it was about to pour rain in 5 seconds, and I was like,
let them go.
I know Shawnee will be here tomorrow morning, and I'll run into them.
Yeah, which we did when we saw Wendy and Chris. We went into the actual where the World Disney area was because Wendy brought us over there, and we saw them come by. We also saw Bob, who was pushing. He was doing a push for the a wheelchair for. They had an Ansley's Angels chair. So whoever he was pushing, who
I forget the person's name, but it's somebody he knows that he's done it. Yeah,
I know the Rise and Run.
I just listened to it.
Yeah, so did I. Must get pushed often because they had the Ansley's Angels on the thing. Yeah. Oh, hi, Indy.
Indy just showed up.
Indy just came real big on the screen, and I would just like to say, Happy Gotcha Day, Indy.
He's got a little bandana we're going to put on him.
Marathon morning, I ran. We went to the corrals pretty early because I was in A.
Oh.
We also did a monorail. Wait, before we get there. No. He's skipping over. Yeah. He's skipping over a whole
evening,
afternoon of shenanigans.
Oh God.
Where we did a monorail crawl. Where my plan was just to drink some mocktails because, we're running the marathon and getting up super early.
Me too.
And so we were going to have he was going to have a drink and that was going to be and then we were going to have some nibbles. We ended up with Marcia and her daughter Dharma and Snarky and Zane.
Zane stopped by. Some other people bounced in and out too.
Yeah, we saw a couple of people along the way. And then we had dinner reservations over at Norcusi. And lo and behold, we're at Trader Sam's, the outside one. And I turn and I'm like, hey, we're going to get the check. And I look and he has a full drink, a full second drink. And I'm like, where did that come from? He's like,
we had already been to Steakhouse 71.
Yeah, and had a drink there, and then this is his second drink here. And this is, and it was we met at 2:00. It wasn't like we met super early. So in an hour and a half, 2 hours, he's had this is his third drink, and I'm like, what is happening here, sir?
I had two in a half hour at Trader Sam's, one in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
so
and
leave.
I'm like, we're getting the check. We got to go because if we want any time at Enchanted Rose, then we're gonna have to. Before dinner, and he's like, okay. So then he chugs the whole drink. And I'm like, oh man. We get to Enchanted Rose and he's getting a little sloppy, and then he gets another drink.
Nice.
It was just an old fashioned.
Hey.
He orders an old fashioned. I'm like, what is happening? We go to dinner and he is drunk.
So I had an old fashioned at Steakhouse 71. 2 drinks at Trader Sam's and an old fashioned at Enchanted Rose.
And in less than 3 hours because we met at 2 and dinner was at 5. So it wasn't like he had spread this out throughout the day.
But I didn't have anything at dinner.
He didn't.
That makes up for everything.
Before it was enough. And you're not talking about drinks that don't have alcohol in them. You're talking about Trader Sam's drink that has 4 different types of alcohol in one drink.
Yeah.
And then 2 old fashions.
Where sometimes they're so strong, you can barely get them down at Trader Sam's.
The zombie was, I had the zombie was really.
The zombie's rough.
That was what I had to throw down.
Yes. He chugs a zombie.
Oh, God.
Like a boss.
My God. We get back to the room still at 7 and he's still trying to put all of his stuff together while giggling and laughing. And he's like, I don't know if I can get this vest together now. I'm like, well, you gotta, because we gotta get up super early.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we go to bed and I woke up around like 11 with like cotton mouth and a headache.
It's the worst.
I'm like, oh, I got to run a marathon in a few hours. I'm like, God, this is going to suck. The whole time I'm like, as we're going around, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's just a marathon. Whatever. Not a big deal.
Yeah, like this is, constant. He kept saying that too.
I'm like,
and the only thing that can cure that in the middle of the night is like a Coke. Water's not going to do it. If you wake up in the middle of the night. I had a full
Gatorade in the middle of the
night.
night.
Do it, yeah.
Yeah. And he wakes up and he's like, I'm like, how are you feeling? He's like, I'm feeling fine. And then
relatively.
Before we get to like his actual recap, at the end, I get a text that he's like, "That was rough."
Oh yeah, that was rough. It was rough. So I walked.
Like, you think?
Yeah, I got out to the corral. I saw Matt Trax actually at the corral when I got there. So I was talking to him for a bit. And I'm looking around, and then I saw Doug. I'm like, oh, I got to go make my move.
Yeah,
so,
on the half marathon day, I had seen him in the morning too, and I
was
that's
like,
when
disregard whatever Erin said.
Yeah,
to
that's
you.
when I was like, he has a man crush on you.
I was like, look, I sit on my couch all day and wave my fist out the window at people not stopping for pedestrians. This is my life.
Do people know why you're man crushing on Doug? Have we said that he has the podcast?
One of the hosts of the War on Cars.
Yes. And as soon as Michael found out that he was a co-host of a podcast called The War on Cars, he texted me. He's like, I think I found my soulmate.
I know they have a pretty good following.
Yes.
Hey, War on Cars, can we get a shout out?
Yeah.
What is it? Old man yells at cloud? Like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Basically.
That's me. Oh God. Yeah. So I actually was talking to him for quite a bit, and we ran together quite a bit. He's I think we kind of bounced back and forth a little bit to the end. But so for mine, I was just like running to survive. Basically, I was like, I know this is going to be terrible. I drank too much the day before. I'm going to suffer. I was wearing my vest, so I had something to drink the whole time. I had plenty of calories. So I'm like, yep, this is going to suck, but I'm going to finish. So whatever. So I just, trotted along at a nice, easy pace. I did stop for Elvis Stitch, which was nice.
Jealous.
And he made little heart hands.
Yeah. Yep. And so it was supposed to be bone dry for the entire marathon, and it poured.
It was supposed to be bone dry.
Really?
It did pour for about a half hour.
No, it was awful.
And it poured real hard.
It wasn't just like rain. It was like torrential.
Yeah, so I got through Magic Kingdom. It was going down, I think, Cone Alley when it started to rain.
Oh, that's the best spot.
Yeah, and then I had to make my so I made my first porta-pot stop less than a mile in.
Yep.
Because I drank too much the night before.
Yep.
My second one was after leaving Magic Kingdom, and I ran into Puck and Rock there. Heather.
Oh, nice.
At the porta-pots, as you do. It happens. So I was running with her for a little bit. She's part of Roll Disney. But it was raining, so she was saying like her, creates an issue with the braking and stuff like that. So hopefully I was helpful. I was hopefully helpful with making people, give space and stuff.
Were you just screaming at people to pay attention?
Yes, I was a little bit. I did yell at a Galway pace group.
The pace groups, they are so disruptive. And I think they do a really good thing, but they
do a great thing, but they're disruptive.
They don't. Yeah. They run like 9 across directly in the middle.
Yes.
And then they do intervals directly in the middle. Like they need to be slightly more over to the side.
And they need to be 2 abreast.
And they need to be yelling at people to be 2 abreast.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't care if they were 3 abreast, but they can't be 9
fair.
abreast.
I agree. You can't be like scattered 6 people randomly. So we were kind of in the middle of the road. I was running and talking to her. And so I was like, I think we got to around Animal Kingdom. And I was kind of ran up the middle of the road a bit because she was coming down the middle and it was still wet. And I was like, oh, I can pick up the pace. I'm just running easy. And I'm like, so I ran like that for like, I don't know, quarter mile. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up because anytime I went under like, so like my normal marathon pace, like, I don't know, at Frosty, I ran like 4:40 and that was just running, not trying or really anything. So I could probably run a 4:30 marathon normally. I could not go under 11:30-minute mile, 11:30 mile.
Because
if
it's your stomach and your head together.
Yes. I tried to run interference for like a quarter mile, and I'm like, oh my God, I am gonna puke if I do this again. Yep. So I slowed back down, and I'm like, I can't do that again. Like I could, like, my legs could do it, but my body's like, no, not today. But thankfully, I stayed with her for a bit through there. I kind of lost her in Animal Kingdom, but I did enjoy getting to spend that time running and chatting. And hope she's doing well. She just had surgery, so
I saw that.
Shout out to Puck and Rock. And hopefully I was helpful. If I wasn't, let me know what I can do better. I would appreciate that, actually. And then I just grinded to the end because I felt like complete garbage. I actually started feeling better around mile 20. Where I ran into Matt Trax again towards the end of the race. They were just goofing off, having fun. So I ran into him there, and I was like, just chatting with him. I'm like, I am not feeling good. I had like 5 drinks right before bed yesterday. I'm like, this is not good.
When he ordered a drink at Enchanted Rose again, I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening here? He's like, I'm fine, as he's like giggling and laughing and drunk. I'm like
that only happens when you're trying for it not to happen. Like,
yes, it was
when you're like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to have drinks everywhere. I'm going to get like a good buzz going.
Yep. No, I was not.
You can, and you don't feel like drinking, and you're like nursing everything, and you can't get through everything.
Not intended at all.
Like, but when you're like, I'm only going to have one, that's when it gets out of hand. Like,
I did run into Mike Rallman early in the race. Said hi to him on the course. I was feeling like crap then, of course, as well. But around mile 20, I actually started feeling pretty good. And then going through studios and finishing, I felt okay. I was kind of worn down by the end. I did run into Main Street Miles Meg in Epcot. Was talking to her.
Did you?
Yeah. I did. She was cheering in Epcot alone. I believe that's who I ran into, right? Yeah. I ran into Main Street Miles Meg. Yeah.
So no, I knew she was out there cheering.
Yeah,
I just never saw her.
That's when I checked to see where you were. So I was talking to her for a bit, and I checked to see where you were. And I was like, all right, let me go finish. So I trotted on in and ran into Doug again at the end. But I was like, oh, I'll run with you to the finish. And then he's running, and I'm like, I can't. He was running probably like a 10:30 to the finish. Or I'm like, unless I'm going to puke, that's not going to happen. So,
oh, my God.
So, I got to slow back down to that 11. I pretty much, other than my porta pot and stitch break, or 2 porta pot breaks and stitch break, I should say. I ran like 11:30 every single mile. I think I might have run a little faster in the beginning, but it was very steady. It was terrible. I suffered for all 26 miles, and I paid the price. And I'm like, I know this is gonna suck. This is just gonna suck the whole time. And I'm just going to keep sucking, and I'm just going to finish and hang out and have fun because it just sucks.
There you go.
And I'm like, I did it to I stopped at one of the medical ones and got like 3 packs of Tums. I'm like, I need like a bunch of antacids. They're like, oh, we got those. I'm like, yeah. I did this to myself. I'm like, this isn't even race related. I'm like, I just did this to myself. I'm like, I'm old enough to know better. This is my own stupidity. I got to pay this price. I got to pay this toll.
The entire time it's happening, he's like, it's just like, I think I said to him at least 3 times. I'm like, are you drinking? Like, still drinking? What is happening? And he's like, it's fine. It's just a marathon. I'll be fine.
It's just
I'm
a
like,
marathon.
I'm like,
God,
this is not fine. And I can't wait for tomorrow morning to see how fine this is. And he even woke up and he was still like, it's fine. I'm like, okay. I can't wait to hear from you later.
Sometimes you can't help yourself. Like the year we did that infamous bar crawl the night before we did Dopey, it was like before the 5K. And I remember I kind of stopped relatively early because I was scared. And then we get back to the room and I go to bed. But like everybody else stayed up in the hotel room and we're still drinking.
Oh,
and that's
God.
when like Lisa didn't get up for the 5K.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And okay, listen, cool. Like a 5K. I mean, like you could get yourself through
You could get yourself through
hungover.
that. Yep.
But he was running a freaking marathon.
Yep.
And I'm like, what is happening? And he's
Absolutely
like,
not.
it's just a marathon. And I'm like, it's not just a marathon, but cool. You keep drinking your drinks.
Weirdly,
I'm telling you, when he chugged that zombie,
oh my
Yeah.
god!
I just like,
Pure
I
alcohol. It doesn't taste like there's any juice.
have
in it.
no idea what is happening right now. And there are going to be regrets, but I'm just gonna leave this one alone.
Yeah, I paid the price.
Oh my god!
I did survive.
Fantastic.
I ran with David Bennett for a bit too in Blizzard Beach, the parking lot. Saw him there.
I'm in the most random photo in the entire universe
with the most
that
random
has
people.
like people from every group of like Run Disney
Little
that
group of
I've
people,
ever
yeah.
like, because Ryan Teets is in it, so is David Bennett, and then Tony, and then
He's
Dan
famous, though.
from like of the
Linda,
Steph, Steph and Dan. It's like the most random collection of humans from all the different like Rise and Run, Team Shenanigans, Will Run For. Like, it's just like a smattering of Run Disney people that I've
Disney
met in my
IG
entire life.
world, yeah.
It's like the weirdest photo I've ever been a part of. From the half marathon day, because I know Tony and Dave ran together with Dan. And we ran into them. And you know how, like, you know, at Run Disney, when you see people, you know, in line for a photo, you just go up and get into it. Yeah. So that's what it was. It was just like a whole collection of people who are like, we kind of know each other. We're just going to take this picture together.
I did see Greg on course. I saw Rise and Run Greg at TTC when I was running.
Oh, I saw Rise and Run Greg at TTC as well.
Oh.
I didn't see him till right as I passed, though, or I would have stopped.
Oh, I stopped and gave him a
because I was like, I was fine stopping and talking to people.
Was he
also
cheering?
Yeah, he was cheering,
for the marathon.
Yeah.
He ran
he did the half.
But he, was at TTC. I stopped and hugged him as well.
Yeah. So back to my Main Street Miles Meg encounter, where I'm going to spoil a little bit of Erin's race. So I stopped there. I'm like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, yeah, Erin was just going to go to Magic Kingdom and then, like, you know, hop on the bus and head back. I'm like, yeah, she should probably be in the parking lot by now. Let me pull up, find my friends. She's in Animal Kingdom.
What?
I'm like, I guess she's not stopping. I'm like,
Yep. Yeah. So my intention was to basically go out and have as much fun as I could, and party until they basically told me I couldn't anymore.
You should have tried drinking more the night before.
Sam walked with me the day before, and he was like, well, why don't you just why don't you at least try and get to Magic Kingdom? Because I can get you to Magic Kingdom. And I thought about it. I was like, well, it'd be nice to like get to Magic Kingdom and see, because everyone I knew was cheering in Magic Kingdom, because so many people cheer on Main Street. So I was like, it'd be really nice to get to at least Main Street and like see everyone and then get castle pictures. So I was like, all right, maybe instead I'll let Sam get me to there, because again, he walks, when I say he walks he is like a machine. It is like a 16-minute mile, a 16:10, a 16:05, a 16. Like when you look at our paces, it's like insane how like consistent this man walks. So I was like, he can definitely get me to Magic Kingdom. And then I will, once I get into Magic Kingdom, that's where I'll stop. I'll be ahead of the balloon ladies enough that I should be able to have banked enough time, if I'm walking at that kind of pace, to be able to take all the pictures in Magic Kingdom, stop at the castle, and then take all the character pictures in Magic Kingdom. So that's pretty much what I did. We walked pretty quick. And then it was probably right before we got to TTC. I looked up and I saw a cloud that was like, not just like a cloud. It was like a pitch black.
It was dark.
It was a pitch black cloud. And I was like, it's not supposed to rain today.
Yeah, no, it
And
wasn't.
I woke up and I looked at the forecast because I had just gotten the port put in and that was still healing. And I wasn't supposed to get like it soaking wet. So the day before I had made sure that as soon as it started raining, I put the poncho over top of like the area where I'd gotten that procedure. And I didn't even bring a poncho with me for the marathon. It was like a morning of thing where I had it in my hand and I was like, no, I just looked at the weather. It says it's like a 5% chance of rain. I don't need this poncho. So, of course, I didn't bring the freaking poncho. And I'm looking at this cloud and I'm like, that's not a nice cloud. I opened my weather app and I'm like, I see this dark red line coming at us. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it torrential.
It's going to pour.
Yeah, it was wet.
So we got past TTC, it starts drizzling. And then as you're coming underneath the waterway going towards Contemporary, you know, the little underpass bridge. So we're going underneath, as we're about to go underneath it, it just starts torrentially pouring, like pounding down rain. And I'm like, well, this is fun. And now I'm like, this sucks because I'm like, they're going to start pulling characters from Magic Kingdom. And my entire goal was to make it to Magic Kingdom, to be able to take all the pictures of Magic Kingdom. I'm like, they're going to pull PhotoPass. So like my entire reason for even like getting to Magic Kingdom, I'm like, this sucks. So I didn't bring a poncho. There was a maintenance guy at the top of the hill coming up towards Contemporary, and he was handing out garbage bags. A maintenance guy. So I took a garbage bag from him. So I was at least able to cover like my one arm where the port was. So Sam and I stayed together basically through there. And then as soon as we started going towards the Magic Kingdom gates, we said goodbye and he parted and he went on. And I basically stopped in Magic Kingdom as soon as we walked through. And I saw people who were cheering and gave lots of hugs. And then I stood there for a little while. And then I became my own character stop because that's where I saw Ren Disnerd came and took a picture with me there. Lisa Chiquita took a picture with me there. There's a couple people who stopped like as I was like standing there talking to Marsha and Kelly and a couple other people that kept coming by and taking pictures. So I stopped there probably for a good like 10 minutes.
Nice.
Just standing there talking to people. And by that time it had at least started drizzling. Like it wasn't like pouring anymore. But I mean, I was soaked at that point. So it didn't like, there was no,
so you're miserable.
It didn't matter. There was nothing I could do. And I had heard that there weren't really any characters in Magic Kingdom. But I had also heard that from the start, there wasn't many. So I don't know
remember seeing any in there.
I don't know whether they had decided not to put them in there because of the weather or if they had always planned to not have that many character stops. There was only like 3 character stops in Magic Kingdom.
I'm trying to remember like how
in the past there's the one over in Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Then you get one over by the carousel. Is usually where the Mad Hatter or
by the teacup.
By the teacups.
Yeah.
You usually have some of the people. And then Sebastian has been out there over by Little Mermaid in the past. Dopey was over the one year over before you got to around the carousel area over by Mine Train area. And then I've gotten Mickey and Minnie or Minnie in front before in America. And there was one year, I'm pretty sure there was like 8 character stops in Magic Kingdom, which is why I was looking forward to Magic Kingdom because I thought we were going to get a bunch. Because then we've had Bullseye and Woody over in Frontierland area. There's usually a decent amount of characters. I think it was only I got Boo, Tiana, and some Disney Junior guy in Magic Kingdom, and that was it. But I did stop at the castle. I got a couple castle pictures. And then I got to like the backstage area where there's usually characters in the backstage area over by where the princess the parade
the parade floats are
where the parade floats are. There's usually characters back there. There was no characters back there. So I left Magic Kingdom having only taken like 4 pictures, and I'm like, well, that was disappointing. So I went to the bathroom, and the parade buses were right there, and my legs weren't feeling terrible. So I'm like, maybe I'll just at least get a few more pictures. And so then I kept walking to get a few more pictures, and I got a couple on the Cone Alley area.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got to the end of like where you make the turn to go towards the poop plant, there were more parade buses. And I was like, looking at the time and knowing how much time I sort of had left, I'm like, I could make it to Animal Kingdom. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided to continue going and moving towards Animal Kingdom. And I'm actually kind of glad I did, because Animal Kingdom had that out and back, and I got to see like a ton of people on the out and back.
Oh, that's nice.
So, because that's where I saw Donna and Ryan and Ian, and I don't know. I am kind of glad I kept going, because I did see a lot more people in that little stretch, whether I passed them or they passed me. And then on the out and back. And then I got to take a picture with the like animals, and I took a picture with Kevin, and I took a selfie in front of the Tree of Life. And so I did not get to ride a ride. So part of the reason why I was like, oh, maybe I'll go towards Animal Kingdom is I was thinking it would be cool if I could end my marathon by doing Everest. But by the time I had gotten there, the 7-hour pacer was like chasing me down. And I had heard from Donna, who had texted me and said that they actually weren't even like letting people on Everest at that point in the single line rider, I guess because it was getting too close to the balloon ladies getting there. So they weren't even letting people on Everest. So when I got there, they still weren't. And I thought, because they had ridden Dinosaur and a few other people I knew had. So I thought about getting on that. But the 7-hour pace group was like so close to me that I'm like, if I get on this ride and the balloon ladies pass me while I'm on this ride and the sweeper buses leave,
how am I getting
then
back?
I'm stuck in Animal Kingdom. And then I have to take the regular transportation and figure out how to get back to the finish line. I'm like, that feels like a lot of work. So
This is fair.
I pretty much called it there. I was ahead enough that I was still doing like a 16-ish minute pace at that point. Like I was still walking a good clip, that I thought about even going to the next aid station. But I didn't really have any reason to like walk another mile, because no matter what happened, I likely was going to get swept.
True.
And in my head, as soon as I got out of Animal Kingdom, I know what's next, because you have the rest of the out and back, and then you make the turn, and then it's Blizzard Beach, and there's 5 miles in between that Animal Kingdom and getting into Hollywood Studios.
It's
and
awful.
I was like,
it's the
there's
worst part.
no way that I'm making it through those 5.5 miles.
Yeah,
to
like
get
all road miles. Yeah.
all the way to Hollywood Studios. So at that point, I got on the parade bus and was like, I took a picture and I called it. And everyone who was on the bus was in pretty good spirits, because I mean, everyone who's on the bus had pretty much made their decision. And there was a lot of people who were like, oh yeah, I wanted to get to Magic Kingdom, which is essentially what I wanted, and then call it, but I made it here. So there was like a lot of pride about like making it to Animal Kingdom and getting through Animal Kingdom. So there was like a sense of like fun party bus. The problem is that our party bus became the sweeper bus immediately. Because we didn't leave fast enough.
Yeah, so it's a different
So we didn't leave quick enough, and there was still enough space on our bus that we had to wait for the balloon ladies to come through, and then we became the bus trailing the balloon ladies and picking off the people one by one.
What happens? Does someone go up to the person and tell them they have to get on the bus? Like,
yeah.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Is they have the bikes that are right behind the balloon ladies, and they kind of make a decision, I guess, at what point, like behind, like if you're a full minute behind
them.
Yeah, if you're like if you're in Animal Kingdom though, and you're still almost 10 miles away
Yep.
and you're a minute behind them, there's no way you're catching them and staying on pace with them.
Yeah.
So
I've
there's
gotten behind them at like character stops and had to like run to catch up with them and stuff like that.
Yeah. But at that point they kind of like, I guess they use their best judgment of like the people who are kind of about a minute behind. If they look like
I think they look and see.
If they look like if they look like they're still moving well and they're going to catch up to the balloon lady, that they leave you. But otherwise, because you could see the bikes behind and they would sort of like ride with somebody and
you could tell they were kind of talking
and they would talk and then they would say, all right. And then the bus would stop and they would get on. And there was a lot of more crying from those people. So we went from being the fun party bus of people who had dropped of their own volition to suddenly being the somber, I'm really sad that I'm getting swept.
Yeah, I didn't make it. Kind of, understandable.
So it was a little sad.
Yeah.
But it was a very good experience for me. I'm very proud of myself for making it 16 miles or 15.85 miles or somewhere around there. I definitely did not expect myself to be able to do 16 miles of walking. The next days were definitely sore because walking is a totally different thing also.
It hurts so bad.
Yeah.
My feet were in a fun place after. And of course I did terrible job of packing. So I had like nothing with me. I think because we weren't sure if we were going, like my brain never really fully wrapped its head around the fact that we were going. And so like my packing was like completely off. I didn't bring any UFOs or flip-flops at all. Like I literally only brought the 2 pairs of sneakers that I needed. And both of them got soaking wet because it rained both days. So then I had soaking wet shoes for like the park afterwards. Like this sucks.
You should have brought some Crocs.
Yeah, I didn't bring anything. I literally didn't have a pair of flip-flops. I brought nothing.
True.
It's weird packing.
Well, that sounds awful.
But it was a good experience for me.
Yeah.
I was very proud of myself, considering I wasn't even sure if I was going to toe the line at all. I didn't earn either of my medals. Maybe one day I will.
You paid for
them. Who knows? I paid for them. I got them.
They're participation medals.
Yes.
Not finisher medals.
So I don't know.
We hung out until the bitter end.
We did that day.
Everything was closed down.
That video, I guess, that you took of the final finisher.
Oh,
I wanted to go
good.
I wanted to go to the finish line and do the final finisher.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
And a lot of people have seen that video. Like it keeps popping up.
Yeah. That's good. It was good. Also, they did. I don't know what happened. iPhone shared library nonsense or whatever. Cree was his final race announcing or doing any work. And they did a final cross the finish line for him.
Yeah, he was the final.
Nice.
He was actually
really
the final
nice. Yeah,
finisher.
it was a really nice send off they did for him.
And it was funny because a few people were commenting afterwards that, it sucks that they really barely even recognized him at the start, like that, it was going to be his last race and blah, 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 blah.
They did something really nice.
But then at the very end, because most people don't stay to the final finisher. So we got the advantage because we always love to see the final finisher. I wanted to go back over there. So we saw the final finisher. And then as soon as they went through, they did a whole thing of for him. And like, then he was technically the final finisher.
Yeah.
Like they had him cross the finish line and everything.
Then there was a lady who had to be pushed across. She was obviously running most of the race, but she couldn't finish and had to be pushed across like after like everybody.
Yeah.
And people still stood and cheered and made sure she felt,
Yeah.
Which was super good.
Yeah.
The final, staying there, and nobody jumped the rail this time to help somebody they
that's
didn't
good.
know. That was good.
They must have listened to this podcast.
Maybe they listened. Maybe they did. I don't know. But that's like the best part, staying for all that. And then we went and just hung out until the bitter end, and then we saw.
Yeah, we saw a ton more people. Zane and
we went to Haleo.
Oh yeah,
with Runt Disnerd, Kelly, Zane, Drina, Mark Megan. We saw went to Epcot and saw
Greg and Christy.
Yeah, Greg
and
Christie
Linda
and Dave Bennett and
DVC runner.
It's just all a ton of people. Yeah.
Watch the fireworks with Steph and Linda.
Watch
and
the new Luminous.
Kelly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We saw a lot of people. It was hard because it was like I was trying to see as many people as I could because I know
kind of the goal,
that like life is about to take a major shift, and I'm not sure, what travel will look like and like when I'll get to see people again. So we were trying to like manage our time and see as many people as we could. And so it was a very exhausting weekend.
Yeah.
Trying to like go place to place and like, and obviously because we came down to surprise people, I didn't expect people to like make any like, rearrange their schedules. So if they were like planning, like already had plans, cool. But we were able to see people at Epcot because that's where they were going to be. We did miss Violet and Chris and Melissa. We did see Melissa as she was leaving, but we missed some people along the way too. Yeah, it's hard to like see everybody.
It's hard to see everybody. It's so much.
Yeah, but it was good though. It was kind of what we needed.
Yeah.
Seeing everybody.
I'm sure it was like a good feeling.
Yeah.
Felt normal.
And I was glad because you weren't blowing it up too much on social media. So you like, it felt like you were present and you were like with the people.
Yeah, and I think that's what we tried to do. And even though we really wanted to do some on the ground stuff, like even he handed me the mic at one point on Sunday, and I was like, I don't have this in me right now. I just want to like talk to people.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't really think that there's too much in the way of like hot takes for the weekend. We weren't there for Expo. I did see that the Dopey. And maybe somebody else can speak to this. The Dopey jackets were sold out within like 10 minutes of like them opening again.
It's so weird.
It's just like I don't
because
understand
other
how
years it's not like that. I don't understand what happens.
I don't understand what has happened in the last few years and why Disney has decided to not order at least like 80% of the people running Dopey can get a jacket. I don't understand. Like, you know how many registrants you have.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think there's
what
enough
size they request.
Yeah.
But you also have that data. Like if 2,000 people are double XL.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
I don't understand how this happens regularly now. It just it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I just
get
it.
But we didn't hear much else from the expo. But I also didn't really ask. And the only real hot takes would have been about the half of a half or almost half of a half or more than half of a half or whatever you want to call it.
Really any of that stuff mattered for us this weekend. So
yeah.
My favorite thing, I forget exactly what he said, but I like posted on like to my like Facebook feed or something, and Mark commented that him and Megan were like so excited.
Yeah. And then Zane and me commented immediately like, yeah, I don't understand why people are disappointed. We're excited about this. This has made
so excited.
This has made our day. I actually I felt bad because people were like, because like Marsha raised money to do the half. And I know that like she was excited for the half and she was going to be disappointed. And I know there was a couple that I went to college with. The daughter, who's only 15, was running her first half marathon. And they were doing Disney, and she had raised money for like suicide prevention. And so like, they were disappointed. So like I definitely understand. But the day before I kept saying, even before they had even made an announcement, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really gonna be upset if they cancel it. And honestly, if it had been canceled, there was a chance that I would have tried to walk the full half marathon, the whole full.
Yeah. There was a girl in our running group that it was supposed to be her first half, but she was really worried about it. She's kind of like a back of the packer, so she had done like a local half, so at least she knew she could.
She could do it. Yeah,
she could do it.
That's cool.
So, but I still felt kind of bad for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's because that day I went out and I ran 8 miles by myself on the B&A trail without headphones.
Insanity.
Absurd.
Insanity.
Absurd. Just out there raw dogging your own thoughts.
Ridiculous.
It's miserable. My pace was so slow. And everybody else is running in Disney, and I'm out there alone in the misery with no headphones.
No
like
headphones.
An idiot.
Oh my god.
Just, what are you, new?
The problem was I thought someone was going to meet me, and then we hadn't made actual plans, and then it was freezing, so I started getting the while I was already in the car driving there. So I was like, well, I've got to do it now.
Gotta
I can't
do
just
it.
be
Yeah.
like... Well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have anything else about the marathon? I mean, we got a little bit of feedback.
We can do the feedback
we're gonna
end the next episode.
Oh, including for the marathon?
Yeah, we'll just do
Weekend?
everything. Do
All
all
right.
the feedback next
Yeah,
episode.
this feels long. I don't know how long we've been
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. I don't have anything else, do you?
Nope.
No.
Oh, I do have one thing. Old fashions are not marathon fuel.
That's a weird
As I may have
weird
stated on Instagram.
weird realization. I would like to thank everyone who saw us though and said hello.
That was amazing.
I did get a couple of comments from some people who said that they saw us and they were too shy. So never be too shy.
No.
Come up to us, yell in my face. It's fine.
Despite everything, I am actually very friendly. I would like to announce that. Can I announce that?
That was that laughter
Can
a
I
little
make
too
that
much? Was that
announcement?
too much laughter at that
Yeah.
comment?
I am actually very friendly. I just like to announce that.
That's true. Very true. Okay, so I guess that will wrap it up for part 1 of our mega 2-part comeback extravaganza. And we will talk to you next week.
In 2 seconds.
No, that's next week for them. They can't listen in.
Bye. This week, on a very special Will Run For podcast.
Guys, I have an announcement. I have cancer.
I wanted to say zoinks so bad. Just then, zoinks!
Oh my god. Oh, let me stop this one.
I don't even know what